to a consumer, you can't just stop. You can't just like decide, oh, well, you know what, today we're not going to add anything to Aeroplan, we're done. That's it. I mean, it kind of feels like that with Aeroplan, but the truth is that's not what happened. We're constantly tweaking, engaging, and doing more. And so Foursquare and Gowalla, may have to some extent, become kind of locked inside their thought bubble and fail to see that their games require continuous maintenance and improvement. Just like World of Warcraft and Farmville, my friends, the developers continue to extend those properties. World of Warcraft and Farmville are continuously updated, changed, and made more interesting. So part of the question about gamification is a total cost of ownership question you have to be aware of.
Just before we go over there, I wanted to ask something because people are always interested. Community is one of these words that everybody talks about, community, moderation, engagement. When you think about gamification or the motivation tools that we're talking about here, applying it to a comments community or some kind of a ratings community, it's a struggle for a lot of people who are trying to sort of create or engage when there seems to be sort of this rabble.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I'll give you two practical suggestions when it comes to community that come from gamification design. So the first one is, remember at the beginning I said achiever, explorer, socializer, and killer. So I described these 4 types. I didn't tell you much about them because we don't really have time for that today. But you can, if you go on my blog or whatever, gamification.co, you can find out more about them. So our gamification U, the letter U, has lots of material there that you can find out about the subject. So the killer, this type called the killer, is a very interesting personality type because often their behavior manifests itself as a sort of like attacking, demeaning sort of persona. And it's especially obvious if you follow comment threads on major blogs, especially tech blogs, because there's always that person there in the mix. The blogger will post the first story and they'll say blah, blah, blah about such and such a company, and then somebody will immediately post and go, you're an idiot, right? And then you'll come along, Stu will come along, and you'll say, well, actually, I think the reporter's kind of right, this company's pretty cool, and that person will go, you're a fucking idiot! And they'll be in there badgering and hammering away at the reporter and at the other commenters until they can no longer express themselves anymore. This is sort of classic killer behavior, right? What that person is after is a little bit different from just achievement. They're not only interested in winning, they're interested in winning and you losing. And everybody in the world seeing me kick his butt, right? That's what they're after. They're after the recognition that they're able to kill. Now, in game parlance, on the game side of the house, we also call those people our most engaged users. So the problem is, the double bind here is you've got people who are incredibly engaged with your product, content, or community. However, they're expressing their engagement in a way that doesn't help you. So your task as a designer is not to turn those people off and shut them down. Your task as a designer is to ferret out ways to take those people and make them positive actors. So in the commenting example that I just gave, the commenter is probably after some kind of recognition from the outlet where they're commenting. So one of the things that you can do is say, okay, the most frequently posted, positively reviewed commenter gets to write an op-ed for my blog, or gets to hang out with the editor-in-chief for lunch. These are examples of how you can take those super engaged users and make them really, positive actors. Another example, if you'll entertain me for 1 second. So by show of hands, how many of you in the room have seen the show Storage Wars? Oh, this is amazing. Okay. So, the show Storage Wars, work with me here, people, and extreme couponing are great examples of the killer behavior at work in an extreme form. So let me just tell you about Storage Wars.